I should buy another screen probably to get also all the layouts. Okay, so anything, anyone, anything, anywhere. We'll just check this if it works. So selecting two meshes and trying to make the magic happens. So selecting this, pressing the Q key and start unwrapping this. Okay, it seems it works. Okay, we have the packing automatic. We didn't have the auto hide. I'll check this on and see what's going on. So again, planar mapping on the z-axis, it hides the other polygons. It works nicely. Okay, so let's see. I will start to select the polygons to unwrap, and we will start to use the unwrap tools with the auto loop. Just basic rectangle. Okay, it seems pretty good. We'll do this over there as well. Here. I'd appreciate if I can get some participants in the Discord. Could be better to entertain. Okay, so now that I have those selected, I will also select here. Just 2 polygons every time to get an auto loop selection. Okay, it seems to work. We have also those. And then with the magic happening, I will use the smart unwrap rectangle and auto loop rectangle. Okay, it works. We have someone joining on the Discord. Okay, Volker Troy is coming. Hi, Volker.
Hi, Volker.
You probably have my sound, so it's creating some echo. Maybe the push to talk is better. Welcome. You should try to talk and see if I hear you correctly. Actually, I'm just hearing my own voice. Okay. Hello. So does the stream is going nicely in terms of resolution? Just wondering. No microphone probably for you. I have to check the stream chat. Okay, I have the chat on the side. If he wants to ask me anything. I'm just actually trying to test the UV tools with the multiple meshes selection, and it seems to work. So let's see. I will do this with a rectangle again, but now with that auto loop. Hi, Arthur. Nice to get you here. Yeah, also, it's working. I have 2 meshes selected, and I have the auto packing enabled on the side, and everything is straight as I wish it should. So it's running fine. So yeah, just one thing I was thinking about talking here is, for instance, you have this kind of mesh where you have this area to unwrap. And so from the point of view, probably the best solution is to select the polygons over there to remove the seam from the visibility of the exterior, all right? So if you select over here and do an unwrap auto loop rectangle, okay, I have to check and select only one, as I'm not unwrapping on the other. So do this again. Oops, I have two meshes. Okay, one mesh is okay. Okay, so if I do this, I have the seam over here. You see, as you can see on the side, the two different polygons are on this area, so it means that the seam will be visible. So probably the best solution is to select instead those two over here and do the unwrap from this. This way you can hide the joint, I mean the seam connection. This is really simple, but a good trick to remember. Don't hesitate to ask on the... you're talking on the... Oh, we have two person actually. Don't hesitate to ask if you want to talk about specific functions in Smonster. Okay, so I will just unwrap those as they have been selected already. Auto loop rectangle. Okay, so as I have the auto hide, it's much faster to manipulate and isolate the different parts that I've already unwrapped. I'll probably do this on one stuff instead. It will be much simpler. So yeah, doing this kind of unwrap is really simple. Just doing a bunch of selections and doing the loop selection automatically without even pressing the L key to loop. Oh, something is going on here. Let's see. I need to get this texture, the UV texture selected. It was this. Okay, do this again. Okay, so as far as I'm using the tools, as you can see, it's removing those from the view. So it means, okay, they are done. Now I can concentrate on the next one, on the next part, etc., etc. It's pretty streamlined. Let me know if the music is too high as well. So it's working nicely. So you can do this, you can do that. Let me know on the Slack if you can, how the stream is broadcast. Actually, I don't know if the resolution or if the bandwidth is okay. If you can let me know, I'd be happy to know that. The auto loop rectangle is probably one of the best tools, because also it's one tool that lets you orient the faces, I mean the bunch of polystrip, always horizontally, but of course you have a solution to change the orientation. So for instance, if I press the Q key here, okay, I have to check my key mappings because I've changed those. Okay, I'm setting them all again. And with the Q key over here, okay, I have now the smart orient vertically or horizontally. So for instance, if I do this, of course I oriented all the poly islands, the UV islands vertically. But one thing is great with the smart one, is that the smart orient is working as well in polygons and in edges. So for instance, if I select this one and do again, but this time horizontally, it orients those horizontally as well in edge mode. So whatever you choose, it's working from edge to polygons. Of course, vertices is not something you will work with, but yeah, edges and polygons, it's working. Okay, so again, even if you unhide things, they can be shown back, of course, if you press the U key for unhide. But as long as you start, again, unwrapping things, it automatically hides things. But as well, as I said, you can change this over here. So pretty simple. We'll do this group normal. So you have different kinds of, different ways to unwrap things. Okay, so I will hide this. For instance, I will select those over here. And now I will do this with an unwrap. But you see here with the Smart Production unwrap, you have different bunches of solutions. You have the rectangle, vertical, and horizontal directly. And you have also an unwrap with the auto loop and the regular rectangle unwrap. And as well, you have the two others that are much more for, I can say, organic things. Okay, so characters and creatures, all that stuff. And so you can use the group normal, and then you can choose whatever the production is in the different method you want. So conformal or angle based. And you have the result after that visible here. So I press the Q key here and I will open back the UV tools. So here, UV tools, and check over here. So when you press the Q key, you have one menu in the viewport and another menu on the UV screen. But you have the Smart Orient Vertical over there, as well as other presets. So for instance, when you are working with the UDIMs, you can just switch to a different layout. So this one is for this layout, and this one is for the layout of the UDIM. You have other kind of commands as well for the copy and paste UVs, but I'm not that much using it now. And the textile density palette, for instance, to call. But here we will just normalize and pack things. And as I click, even if you have some flipped areas like that, okay, so we have a flipped UV island. Once we click on the normalize and pack, we have different options here. If I press the control key, I can change the mode over there. So you have everything in the tooltip, right? So if I left the mouse over, you have some information on the what are the different options. And here, if I press the control and click, I will just repack with the same textile density. As you can see, everything is matching in terms of density of UVs, and it automatically flipped back correctly the UV. So if you didn't once, of course, you can probably totally do this. So for instance, if I do that and just press normalize and pack, it keeps this flipped. Okay, so that's good for that. Okay, so I can switch, of course, with those different commands if I want to flip things on the U or on the V. Yeah, so that's really simple. That can be useful sometimes when you have to deal with text and things that are maybe mirrored. Okay, so let's see, we will continue with this. We will hide the rest. What I can say about this? Okay, so the logic behind the tools with the UV kit is that you are using the local production of the object. So whatever you have in terms of meshes and orientations, the projection will always match the orientation of the mesh. So this is also why the good things with this is that you have something that is straightened correctly. So for instance, okay, if we hide this, we clearly see that the center is correctly aligned with the mesh, and so when you have a projection, the projection is correctly oriented. It's not tilted like this or something like that, right? So this is perfectly fine for this, and especially for the mechanical parts like that. So of course you have different options. Let me see, I will show other stuff. So here we have the options of the different variable into the kit. And so you have, for instance, an auto relax UVs when you are unwrapping things. It was not implemented in MODO at the start. On the 15 release, I think it was implemented as a built-in feature, but it was not on the 13 and 14. So I've made this as a script as well. And so, so when you are repacking, of course, you can fix the flipped UVs, and you can also auto repack the unwrapped, the recently unwrapped areas, and you can also relax, automatically relax. So for instance, if I do this and say, okay, I will select all the boundary edges of this, like this, over here, and maybe cut over here, I will do an unwrap. So a basic unwrap with the basic tool in MODO. Of course, it creates this, right? And so you might want to have a path that is relaxing the faces. So as you can see, it relaxed pretty well. It didn't stitch those, of course, but yeah, the solution is there. So you have the solution to use the edge selections mode. And so when you are like this, you can press the, for instance, I will hide the rest of the elements and do this again, select the edges and this one, and then I will press the Q key, unwrap, and I will use a group normal conformer. So you see, as I didn't check the auto relax UVs, I have the same result as if I was using the regular unwrap without the auto relax implemented. So I will do this again now. Okay, and so with this, enable the auto relax UVs. I will do this again, and now you see that this have been relaxed. It's on the opposite side this time. Yeah, it works. So you can define the amount of iteration of the relax if you have something that is a bit too big in terms of polygons, so cat data or things like this. It can be useful to change the amount of relax iterations. But so we can merge this, or even, yeah, as I said, project this onto the z-axis, and if I project on the z-axis, it will use also the y and the x as direction. So yeah, the unwrap this way is really great. Okay, it's running. Ooh. Something might be not good here. I have to check. This is the problem with the streams. Okay, I will check this again. Probably something that is related to the fact that I've hidden already some parts and it was already unwrapped. So I would check this again. Let me see. We'll start again MODO. Is there anything you need, Volker or Arthur? Ah, you are mute. I have to check this, or Oh, apparently not. You can probably... I need to define a role. Okay, so if I check... Oh, I heard something. Arthur, I hear you.
That I was muted.
Good. Put some background music. But that's royalty free, so I can use it probably. It's okay. Okay, so I restarted again MODO. I will probably load again the scene. Did you have any questions, Arthur?
I think for me, I'm still just trying to understand the whole process because I come from the CAD world. And
Okay, from the card world. Okay.
I've been
So,
doing this for a very long time, but it's still great to see some of the tools that you are adding to help optimize the workflow.
okay. Just one thing probably, Volker, I hear you, but I also hear some echo. So I would prefer you mute your or you switch to a push to talk if you can. Okay, I will load the scene for the cat cleanup tools. Okay, let's see. This is not probably the best solutions, but I will show you this. Okay, so what we have here, I will switch to the full view. Okay, so here I will work on to the cat cleanup and gone. So a long time ago, 2 years ago, I was creating. I've released the cat tools for optimizing things like this. So you might have sometimes objects that are coming from cat data as triangulated items like this, and so you might have also the beaver and all that stuff, but sometimes not. And so in order to change this, and my own activity mostly is not about rendering of CAD data and product design renders, but more real-time AR content. So for AR and VR content, so basically reducing the poly count and editing the mesh. So usually what I do and what I was doing with the CAD tools was to use the cleanup tools that was there. So usually I was able to clean up the n-gons and find back the n-gons on the XYZ axis. So for instance, this one is already oriented, right? But so if you have something that is in a different, I can say, orientation and rotations, you can probably didn't use this, but that's the fastest one. So when I select the object and then click on here, it clean up the n-gons. Normally I didn't see anything. Oh, something is done here. Okay, that's probably because I've implemented the newest one. What I don't understand is that I didn't see the selection. Let's see. Yeah, the show selection, but I cannot select things here. What's going on here? Okay, close all. Again, the training scenes are there. CAD. Cleanup tools. Okay, now I see the selection. So I can select this and launch the process. And as you can see, now it hided already the sides object, but here now we have everything that was flat on the XYZ directions have been merged in terms of polygons. So it's much more easier to edit and just select all of those directly like this and edit things, right? So you have this solution, but you have another one that is a bit more expensive in terms of processing, but that can also fix those polygons as well. So those are not in the right direction on the Y 0, 1, I mean 0, 1, 0 direction vector. So it's not working with this one. That's an old solution, but I was using just the detriangulate after that to get this kind of model. So it's a lot easier to manipulate and edit, but you still have some kind of things like this, right? So probably the best one, I should say, is to try the second one, the latest solution that is not part of the CAD cleanup tools. But you right-click on the items with just one selected item, and you go to small GC, so that's for the game content, GC, and simplify to Ngon. And it will process, it will take some time, but it will process every polygons and detect the coplanar polygons and then merge those elements. So here it's probably taking some time. You normally see the progress bar, but I'm sure it's not completely crashed. Actually, it's just processing. Yeah. And so, yeah, every polygons will be cleaned up this way.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear.
Yeah. So like a lot of the original like data that sometimes I would start with, sometimes I would say initially was from SolidWorks.
Mm-hmm.
So the best part about that was that because the rendering engine inside of SolidWorks and the materials, what I would do is I would ahead of time at least apply colors or textures in SolidWorks.
Yeah.
Then become material tags inside of MODO. And that's just one workflow for specifically SolidWorks. But then I get files from like Rhino or Inventor, and you didn't have that workflow from SolidWorks. But that was one of the things that I also over the years noticed, that because there's a hierarchy in SolidWorks that doesn't necessarily translate one-to-one into MODO. So in other words, if you apply a red color to the whole geometry, that is like level 1. But if you apply it to a feature, that's like level 2. If you apply it to a face, that's like level 3. So like the different hierarchies would override the one below it.
Okay, there's some kind of priority organizations.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's not something in MODO that, like, let's say for example, if you're in item mode and you apply a material, but then let's say for example you go into polygon mode and you apply a material.
Okay.
There doesn't seem to be that same hierarchy, like whatever is applied last, not that the item overrides the picking up the polygon face to apply the material. Those are one of the things that, like, just trying to figure out how to optimize CAD data into MODO workflow.
You probably have some kind of a part tag. So when you are working with the textures, I mean the material themselves, materials can be assigned with different ways. You can use selection sets, you can use polygons, polygon material tag, and part tags as well. So Okay, so let me just talk about this first, and we will switch to this in 2 minutes. So as I can show you here with the simplified to endgame solution with the game content, it's a bit different. And so those kind of things that were still present with the old solution, and those endgames that was not correctly aligned to the XYZ axis, those are correctly processed. So now it's much better and much easier to edit this, as well as those you have still a bunch of poly loops that can be selected. So some of those cannot be treated and processed because they have some little differences in terms. I mean, they are not coplanar totally. So yeah, that was one of the new tools that I've added with the release number 4. So it helps simplifying the different PCs. You can as well, for instance, here, what I've made also is you have the cleanup and the batch tools that can be maybe useful for you. Let me see. I will close all here and open the batch one. So you have this kind of package icon over there, and when you open this, you have different tools in order to load. So for instance, you talk about SolidWorks, right? I have a loading preset for the SolidWorks, and so it will load the file and do different kind of actions and process, and after that it will save the data as an LXO. It can save to other output, right? So here we have the basic UI. You have also the preferences, where you can define different variables. And the good things with the kit that I've made, and in order to bring also the others tools from other third-party developers like Quad Remesher from Remy, from Maxime Ruka, you can enter a command that is related to a kit, and it will process the data. So for instance, here we have a preset. So I've made a preset that is just basically you define a folder with a DXF file, and you output this to an LXO file in a subfolder called LXO, right? So it's really simple, but it can help a lot. So for instance, if I do SolidWorks SLD PRT file conversion and cleanup, I'm just loading the file, the SolidWorks file, into MODO, so one at a time. Okay, so you can split it up or get some files from the client that are splitted into different files. But you are loading the SolidWorks files, then you can process some data with this. So the cleanup SolidWorks import, I will just open probably the code because that's much more simple to check. But there is also one thing that you can do if you didn't know what a command is doing in my own kits. So you can open the command history, and inside the commands you can filter with a pattern, and you can just paste the pattern with small for the Smonster or Smoluck, and then the kit, and point cleanup point, and then you have the rest of the different commands. So if you do this, you will get the description on the side. So that can be interesting for having some information on how it works. So this one is, yeah, you clean up the SolidWorks import. So this was one example with files from the MacMaster website data. There's a bunch of different CAD data from SolidWorks on this website, so I started with this. And as it says, in order to save a new scene with only one mesh item of the imported assets, it will also convert the vertex normal data to the hard edge workflow. So for instance, let's see, if I open create a scene, a sphere like this, and you set the polygons with the set vertex normal. You have a vertex normal data that is stored over here, and oftenly with the cat data, you have some vertex normal data stored. And so if I do things like this, okay, well, let's see. We will select a bunch of different areas. Not this way, probably better. Okay. So now I will just set the vertex normal on this. I'll probably reset. Okay, clear. I will set the vertex normal over here. Hide the wireframe. Oh, I don't have the... let me see, just... Okay, vertex normal tools. We'll harden this. Delete the vertex normal. Okay, so now we have this kind of shade, and from this, the cat data is setting the vertex normal, and so you have just a vertex normal, and those vertex normal are shaded like this. Okay, so we have some kind of a split of those faces, okay? And so you can convert the vertex normal data with this function over here with the vertex normal tools to convert to hard edge. So if you clear the smoothing and remove the normal map, you will still keep, you will still keep the hard edge. So this is something that you might also create from the SolidWorks file. So we will take a look and start. I will just delete this now and launch the example. So let's see. Once you have defined the preset, you click here. You have the launch batch process. It will open up a directory. You have to choose and look for the files. So in my case, it's under... Okay, I'm finding the location. One moment. Kits, training. Okay, training scenes. So over the training scenes, I have the CAD tools, not the CAD tools, I have to go to the batch one. Okay, so that's the files for the batch one. So here I have a folder with some SLD PRT files. I will open this with the in a new window. Okay, so we have those SolidWorks file. Okay, right? And so every one of those will be open and treated as I said. So I select the folder. What's going on? Okay, I have something. Okay, it will give me the pop-up every time, but that's probably something that I can bypass. It's creating the files, as you can see here. We have the LXO file of the different SLDPRT stuff. So you have to check what it's going on here, but it's processing the data. As you can see, they are changing. I'm not enough closer to the object, but yeah, it's processed. So now I can go to File, Open Recent, and as you can see, the SolidWorks file have been opened. And so, for instance, I opened this one, and this is the file from the SolidWorks file that was opened. And now the vertex normal is still there, but I can, as I said, convert it. That's probably the command I was talking about. So this one might have some issue. I have to check. So yeah, you have this, and so in the scene that have been created, you see you have the default camera, you have the light, you have the object that is still as a static mesh. That's probably why I couldn't edit it. So this is one thing I have to check. And so if I change this to mesh type and not static mesh, I can edit it. As it was the case. Cannot see correctly. I mean, the icon, it should be gray, but I don't know if that's gray or blue. It should be blue. Okay, so I can convert the vertex normal, and now I have the hard edges. So if there is some split into the object, you can get them back. You see, it's preserved. So as I said, with the preferences, you can probably add different kind of commands and commands from kits, from other kits, or as well those that I've made. For instance, I have the cleanup tools that can be useful for that. So for instance, here we have a scene that is composed by a mesh, a light, and a default camera. You have also a group. I don't care about the group on my side. If I want to create some kind of a repository of the files and have them completely clean up, I can probably launch the command for deleting the cameras. It directly delete the camera. And this function is in the history. So for instance, here, if I copy this command and put this into the preferences of the batch one, so I will open back the batch. Let's see, we will close the scene. I will open the preferences, and instead of this one, that was apparently breaking, I will add this and add another one to delete the light. This is just one example, but there's a lot of you can do probably with the current commands that I have. So it's running linearly, line after line, the different commands, right? So here we have this. I have the SolidWorks files as an input, the LXO file as an output. I will have to check. Yes, I have to just delete the files because we have already an LXO folder. Okay, so now it's deleted. I can launch the batch process, and now it will probably work. That's probably something I have to check again, but it seems to process things without any kind of error. So it means if things are running correctly, it didn't have the time to show the files. So now we are still in the default scene. Okay, nothing have changed. But now if I'm opening the file, the LXO file for the object, now you can see that the scene is not composed with any light cameras. They have been deleted with those commands. So yeah, that's something that is probably possible. I mean, you can imagine that you have opened the file, you have a command, and I mean, you can even find it with the undo command. So for instance, when you are in the item menu, you can go to not change type, but select item type and meshes, and you select the mesh. But actually, there are not static mesh. There are not meshes, there are static mesh. So this is why also I have these options to convert meshes to static mesh, but that's the opposite on the SolidWorks. I have to check this.
The one thing that I noticed, like, is when you open if you open the solid this file native, if you look in the shader tree, because it's like SolidWorks doesn't have the
Yeah.
exact same one-to-one. In the shader tree, you know, it doesn't have final color output or shader
Shader object, yeah.
object. Yeah, so those have to be added.
Yeah.
Like
Um,
once you import it.
Totally. But of course, as I said, from the command, I mean the script that I've made to the command that are inside MODO, you can probably add this. So for instance, you have opened the scene, we've deleted the cam, the light, and when we are, okay, so we'll open the command history, not filter anything, but see the history over here. And with the undo, and we will click on here and add a shader, right? So if we click on shader, we are adding the shader, right? And this is just this command over here. So you can paste this here and it will create the shader directly. You see what I mean? So as you have this kind of presets, and this preset is just a file, a Python file, but that's really simple. I will open it on the side to show you. Let me see. So that's under the kits one, batch. And we have the macro for the presets. Okay, so we have the presets for the SolidWorks. So let me see, open in okay, I will open the file. Okay, so we have the file. So under the Smonster Kits, then batch, macro, Smoluck, batch, etc. I have this file. I will just open it with basic Notepad ++, not PyCharm. It will be complex. But you can see here, you have all the different lines for the different lines that you have here, right? So you can copy this and paste it over here in the field, and you have your own macro for dedicated stuff, right? So this is not that much complex to create, or I mean to prepare by yourself. At least you have the ability to change the different lines over here. So it means that you can do your own stuff if you wish.
Okay.
Don't know if that's what you was looking for, but there's probably some solution over here. I mean, from my side to as well your side and other third-party developers, or if you have other kits that can do this directly. So for instance, I have also here, as you can see, we have created the shader, but automatically MODO is selecting it. So it can sometimes stop the ability to create another things because you have already a selection, so something like this. But I have some commands as well to remove the selection. So if I search for deselect, I have this command that is called small gc deselect all, and once I'm launching it, it just deselects things. So you can as well add this one over here, not this one, here, this one. So deselect all, and then again and again. You have 20 lines. I can add more, but this is just one example.
Sure.
Sure.
Again, I think you know, the one journey I've been on is kind of figuring out, you know, what are the different pathways to go from the different CAD packages.
Yeah.
So that is a, you know, much, and some of it is like, do you just need to do a rendering? Do you need to do animation, or do
that's completely a different work? Yeah, totally.
It's a different workflow.
And well, so for instance, in the SolidWorks, if you are talking about SolidWorks, but probably others, they are probably working like this. So you see in the statistics under polygons, you have the part tags, and you can convert the part tags to a material. I don't have this on my side, but for instance, here we know we have the material that is the same for all this piece. So that's probably not the best example, because there's apparently only one material onto this one, but you can convert things with other kits and script. Probably William Vaughan have some script for this as well. I have other kind of stuff like this. So if you want to split the mesh with the different parts, so for instance, if I click here, I will split the different elements as different meshes regarding the part tags that are on the side. So now we have
that's how, because
this kind of
basically in that way, when I do the material tags, so that comes across in Modo, that gives me, like you're saying, a selection set.
yeah,
I know I
there's
can
this also.
split the model apart by the material tags.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty challenging, but it depends. Of course, if you are changing from many different CAD files, I mean CAD softwares, it can be really tough. But yeah, that's there's not so many automatic solutions. There's some on the Unity side. So now that Unity have both PI XYZ solution from the French as well. It's available. You can load many different kind of files and then open them and convert them to the various types of output from the FBX to others kind of things. So for instance, I will just open PI, but this kind of things is, I mean, you have to pay for it, right? PI XYZ. That's the solution they've posted recently. That's about 1.5 years, I think. And the plugin and the software is great for this because it helps you creating different LODs. So for instance, if you are working with real-time content, that's probably better, not the best solution for you if you are just doing rendering and animations for rendering. That's probably not the best solution, but there's some tools in it that prevent you about the tessellation or those kind of things as well. Because yeah, if you have the file,
The power translator.
yeah, there's
Hasn't
this as well.
updated in a long time, and I've spoken to that team from Integrityware, and I don't know what it's been taking so long. It's been something that they said they have a new version coming sometime soon, but that's been like at least the past like 3 years, 4 years. I've been hearing that from them.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's deeper change between the releases. I mean, MODO is changing, the SolidWorks is changing as well. So when you are
trying to keep up,
trying to keep up is really tough. As well on my side, as you can see, sometimes things can break up because there's a new function, or the function has been modified by the creators of the software. So yeah, it can create some kind of struggle sometimes.
Like it seems like it makes sense, and this is just a thing for me, just in MODO. Like if they would start to open up to be able to import more, CAD files.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of usage. I mean, in the with MODO, with the CAD files, and especially for product designers and person that are creating the renderings of those. Don't know. There's also other tools. I'm just gazing at things, and I was thinking about this. You have also this solution to rebuild a polystrip, and this one can be interesting. So for instance, here we have a bunch of polygons. We can change this to the boundary and remove this and this. And now from this triangulated setup, we can rebuild this with a polystrip. So I can define a count. So for instance, I will say, okay, we want 16 steps, 16 side, and set circle mode. Don't know, cannot remember of these options. And so it creates this kind of patch that was recreating we have 16 polygons, and it recreate the patch that was previously like this. So yeah, this one was handy at some point. So of course you have sometimes to flip some elements to keep the corner, of course, and probably at the first I should do this first before launching it. So if I flip this, okay, so now it's better this way. So I have to check, I have this and this, so I have 2 paths of polygon of edges selected, and then I run with the preset, just keeping this over here. That's the ribbon tool, like this. And yeah, we do 20, and we have 20 polygons, and now it's matching. It can be helpful when you're creating some object that should have a regularity in the polygons. Yeah, so of course, yeah, that can be useful. I mean, especially when you are creating this kind of object for real time, you have for sure have to lower the amount of polygons, and so yeah. But the result can be useful, as you can see. It have a sample that is regular all across the line, and this kind of things is that's something I wanted to do at first when I started to do the scripting, but of course it was too tough. But I'm enough interest into also as well the mashups that I've made an assembly, and from that assembly I called a script that load the assembly. The assembly is processing the data, and then I get back the data as a destructive workflow. So when I'm sending this setup, I am sending the file with just the polygon selection, and as well the edges selections. So you can totally do this with a mashup, right? You can define a selection and do the noding with all the stuff into the schematic, but it takes time. So I mean, I wasn't enough, and I'm still not enough powerful on the mathematic side of the programming to create this by myself entirely. So I'm getting some data via a script and sending this to another scene by loading an assembly. And so you didn't see the process, but usually it's opening a new scene, it's loading the data with a copy paste or this kind of things, and then processing the data and get back the data onto the main scene. So it's completely hidden, but it helps a lot. So using also the mashups for the scripting purpose can be really interesting as well. There's a lot of potential here. Like you are creating some kind of an HDA in Houdini, you can just call it when you need, and yeah, it's just not present anymore, but it's destructive, but it's still useful for that.
So yeah, I think that's one of the things that, to your point, like, you know, I'm still trying to wrap my head around mesh ops. Like, you know, it's very powerful, but trying to find a starting point, and just you get lost. Like, what are the methods and the reason why you might do something at a certain time is kind of the thing I'm still trying to figure out at this point.
I understand totally. It's pretty.
I think that I think the Foundry, you know, just in general, in the some tutorials, to really dive in to the reasons why you do things that use a mesh op in a certain way or a certain functionality at a certain time, I think would be really helpful.
Yeah, totally. I try to make some, but I have some kind of a difficulty to start. Start doing things with probably a goal that is achievable, right? But at some point, you start doodling with the mashups, and you start finding new things, and and you start moving and sliding on another area. So yeah, probably that's not the best example for myself. But doing some training, and this is the kind of a typical example where mashups can be useful, right? I mean, you have to process some data over and over again with the same kind of setup. Do it with the mashups, and even script, make a script to call it and do this in just a second. But of course, it's intimidating at the first. I have to check here. And yeah, so if that's something you really need, I could also as well do those kind of things. But this is something probably Foundry should do by themselves, because they can.
Yes, they definitely should do by
I
themselves,
mean,
because
it takes a lot of time to set up an organized presentation with the mashups, because it can be really tough in terms of schematic. And I mean, I prefer to work in the schematic. That's my own point of view. Even if you have the mashup system with the, whoops, I didn't see it over here. Yeah, the stack of the mashups over here. Because at some points you have you need more control to link things with other elements. So it depends, but sometimes you have to bring some input data as an integer or as another edge count or something like this. And so you have to dig with the schematic. But at some point, it can be really a mess. There's a lot of potential behind it. But also as well, I really wish that they can give some possibility to pull the mashups as a file, really, because if it could be a file, then you can update the file, so update the polygon, the mashups itself, and then propagate the result on another scenes, for instance. It could be really tough maybe to code and to create as a new feature, but it could be so much faster and so much interesting. So yeah, don't know what you think about this, Volker, but there's a lot of potential. But it looks like, I mean, the steps are there, but we are just one step behind the end of the stairs, right? At sometimes, yeah.
You're talking about the working reference system, which we still don't have.
Yeah, the reference system, like an HTA system or a prefab system, like in Unity when you are using the prefabs. And also you can share things much easier. I mean, you can use and call some assembly aliases into different situations, but you are probably calling it into a specific scene, and probably you will change the scene over the time. And once you have to go back and probably update this with a new system, with a new mashups, you have to unlink, relink again the different elements. It's not like you are updating a link to a file that is on your storage, on your web server, or anything like this. So in regards to that, it's not that much convenient, and I wish they can do this differently.
crossed.
Yeah, finger crossed. Yeah.
Usually patient guy when it comes to these kinds of things, but just lately I would have been in really bad use of a working reference system. That's why I had high hopes in USD, which comes as with a bit of
Yes,
a risk.
but the USD is just a destructive one. I mean, if you are talking about the mashups, that's a specific one, right?
I mean USD as a file system. Yes, at the
Yeah,
moment we're just using USD as some kind of geometry file format for being imported and exported. It's just like a pimped up OBJ or FBX with not much more benefits in it. So usually when you're covering the whole USD, what it's capable of, you can even stream geometry and just have it as a reference and not editable geometry, but just in an instance, you can really load really heavy geometry in your scene. Um, we had something similar when I've been working with V-Ray. You can even reference complete scenes. So you still had to create your scene and you have to export it as VR scene file, but you were able to import this reference. I was importing a garden with all the trees and grass and plants and the car in it and everything, and the footprint in the viewport in MODO was like 0. I just had a bounding box, but whenever I was pressing render, I was able to see the whole scene because it was loaded at render time.
totally.
So
Um, I just wanted to show this, but probably that's not the best solution to do this on a public stream. But yeah, anyway, it could be interesting as a topic. We have probably about 20 minutes more, or about 30 minutes. Here I will stop the stream, but okay. Let me see. I will open one of the project we are working on actually at Xreaper, my company, the company I'm working here in South Korea, and we are creating some VR stuff for an application for safety of the fishermen trawlers. So let's see. I will. Also, another things with the mashups is that even if you have the deferred update over here, when you are editing things, it refresh all and the whole different meshes into the scene. That's not just the part that is linked to what you are editing actually. So the whole scene is re-evaluated, and so yeah, it can be a tough job. So yeah, that's not fast for that kind of things. Okay, so let's see. Here
Also,
I
one
have.
thing I don't know if you know, but one thing I'd like that was a nice addition in I think is 16 is that they're able to open Rhino files native.
Yeah, I didn't
And
try this yet because I'm not working with the CAD. But continue. Yeah, interesting.
yeah, so what's interesting about that is Rhino now has subdivisional modeling inside of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's possible to in Rhino change the the CAD data, the brep CAD NURBS data into sub D inside of Rhino, so that when you drag and drop the file into MODO, um, it comes in some respects a lot cleaner
Mm-hmm.
than just like if you had like a step file or IGIS file or a CAD file like that. So Rhino has very interestingly become kind of like a new. I was always using it, but it's become now kind of like my go between sometimes
Mm-hmm.
turning files into MODO.
Yeah. That could be a good workflow. I mean, showcase it. We can bounce on it on this and talk about it later on. You have some plans maybe to okay, probably for another stream we can imagine
Yeah.
having some example scene and try to do things with those.
Yeah, I would like to do that. I would like to do that sometimes. Is just yeah, show some examples. Um, just like I said, the different workflows and different ways that it's been you can potentially optimize.
Mm-hmm.
Um, either like through the kit or just drag and drop. These different methods. Because again, there's so many different ways to skin the cat when coming into Modo, and some of which again, like I said, depends on what do you need to do with the geometry. Once you're in Modo.
So, for instance, here when you was talking about the performance and those kind of things, here is a good example. That environment is for VR experience, so you are usually, I mean, it's set in order to be used like this when you're on the desk and you are moving on the desk. So the amount of polygon is not that huge. I mean, all the different PCs are pretty small in terms of polygons. Even if I've decided to do the micro bevel workflow, I really like this from different various points. But yeah, I done this, and so even if the number of polygons are not that high, it struggle because the amount of object is about 1,700. I will check. Select the meshes. Okay, so when I select all the meshes, yes, we have about 2,000 or so items. And so even if all of those have a transform that is just 0, 0, 0, and they are separated for occlusion culling purpose in Unity, it struggle, right? I mean, when you are looking inside this, of course you can change it to static mesh, but when you are working like when I'm usually doing is, okay, I'm looking at this and see, okay, I have to edit this area because it's correctly shaded. Then I have to edit it, and so I have to change from the regular mesh to the static mesh. So for instance, here there's no merging or blending between the different elements. So do I have to open the item list, select the object, change it to a mesh instead of a static mesh? And even when you are with a static mesh here, you have probably the double the amount of FPS, but not that much. So yeah, you call the command, you
Yeah, and
smooth
normally,
things, and yeah.
normally you're taking yourself into Unity. You're not going into Unreal, or do you have a preference, or do you use both?
I'm mainly focused on Unity because most of the developers in our company are working with this. We have some researchers that are looking for Unreal Engine, but it depends on the product we are making. There's a lot of product running on the HoloLens as well as on mobile smartphone, from AR content to normal, I should say, virtual environment. So actually, Unreal Engine is much more dedicated to the VR content or those kind of things, and it was not the choice on our side. But anyway, yes, you can edit and move the different elements in Unity and lay out your things into Unity or Unreal. But at some point, sometimes you have to get the work inside Modo. So for instance, here, even if those are just elements that are separated from the rest of the panel, they have to be stitched in some ways. And so I made the script for the project and Fuse, especially for that, because I was doing this on every different parts. But that was a choice also as well. I was in need to remove sometimes the normal map for various purposes. for the performances at sometimes. So getting this kind of micro bevel setup was great, because even if you are at a long distance, you still see some kind of an highlight, and you clearly see the connection between the different elements. There's a lot of paint over on those kind of boats. I didn't show the texture here, but yeah, this is one thing that I wanted to achieve. And so everywhere where you see those kind of tubes, they are all connected. And so it makes, I mean, it gives the feeling that everything is correctly connected and there's no floating things. So I was looking at this.
Right.
Don't know if I can cancel the GL meter. Didn't try this on a stream. So yeah, okay, it's working. I will just make a test. So we are launching the GL meter. When I'm moving the on the screen, we are at about 18, 19 FPS. If we select all the meshes and change them to static mesh, I shouldn't even move the viewport with the selection, because it will be probably 8 FPS. And this is something we have to... Oh, I didn't change it correctly. Missed it. Sorry. This again, change type. Static mesh. Okay, so static mesh means that you are not editing the object anymore, but at least you can see it on the viewport. It takes some time. There's about 2,000 items, and yeah, at some point you need as well in the game engine to merge things together, of course. But here, okay, so now we are at about 40 FPS, 37, 40 FPS. It's not probably visible on the stream because the FPS is not the same, but yeah, you have a lot better feedback over here. But maybe it can be something that can be automatized. So once you are selecting an object, probably it means that you will edit it, and so blindly MODO can change the state of the object from static mesh to mesh, and then you edit things, then you go back, you select another, and it changed this one to a static mesh, and once you have selected this one, it changed this one to a mesh for editing. We can imagine this kind of system. I'm not the developer, of course, but yeah, this is something that could be possible, maybe. Don't know. There's a lot of things to do here.
The problem with those file types is that they are destructive. As soon as you're converting something into a static mesh, it's going to be triangulated and it's not editable anymore, at least for my...
Yeah, I see what you mean. But here, for instance, I'm in the static mesh. I can change the type back to mesh, okay? And I can edit it again. But of course, this one is triangulated and we lost everything. Or it can be maybe something that can be, I can say, some kind of like the LOD. When you are in Unity, you can get the LOD 0, 1, 2, and so that's different kind of files. You see, like a proxy. So you can get some kind of a sort of a proxy that is... There's some other proxy kind of convert to proxy. Didn't try those.
We have a normal proxy that is just referencing to a different file, and it's
or something like this.
You can only point to a single mesh item. So if you have a complex assembly, you can only pick one mesh item out of it. and then we have a deferred mesh as well, but this converts the whole mesh in a complete different file format, which is a LXP or something like that, and which
Yeah,
is not editable anymore.
yeah,
So
yeah, I
it's a
see.
one-way road.
Hmm. Yeah, so yeah,
In my
so
case, I'm working a lot with quads and ngon files, so I'm not using real-time stuff. So I'm usually doing it for offline rendering. So
hmm.
I don't want to destroy my files by triangulating them, because in the most cases I have to edit them and scale them, and for me, for my type of work, the texturing of ngons works pretty well.
Yeah, yeah,
So
I'm just
avoid it.
saying that it can be sometimes something that can be totally hidden and not visible from the user point of view, but behind the scene, MODO can create some kind of a proxy that is just a static mesh of the current object. And then if you edit it, it will recreate and update this proxy just for the visualize purpose. You see what I mean?
Mhm, mhm.
Just for the shape itself, it can be just for that, but it can still work this way. So don't know.
Yeah, that's the general problem with every tool and working with proxies. So in most cases, in MODO we have the unique situation where you can have uh, a referenced file you can have several files open, which is not common in other DCCs. So usually you have to open various instances of your program. So in MODO it's like when you're referencing a scene, you can't have the same scene open in MODO itself. So you have to open a different instance of MODO, open the reference. So it's a little
Yeah,
bit difficult like this. So what you're asking for is actually you're pointing at some kind of proxy file, but you will also want to be able to open the proxy file, edit it, save it, and then the link is going to be updated.
yeah, or
So
something like the setup. I mean, the prefab system in Unity. You can open the prefab. So a prefab is just like an assembly, right? And
yeah,
you open it into the same space. So like when you are in MODO and you open another scene, you can open it and see it on the side. So for instance, I will try it. I don't know if I can try, but I would try. Why not? And so you can turn the visibility. So now I see the first scene and the second scene is there, okay, with the route that I was selecting. So I can see this element that is into this scene, but I can see also this one that is on the other scene. So there's some, I don't, I think we can just wait for some explanation from the developers, or I don't know. We can get some comments on the video about this. I hope. So yeah, in this kind of situation where you can have something into a scene and you have another one still visible, but there are two different scenes. This is something I really like in MODO. When you are opening something into the world space, you can still keep the visibility of it. And it was interesting for the boat, for instance, when I was creating the different assemblies for the different pieces. I was able to stay in a specific view and go back and forth on different scenes and still get the reference and the same point of view on the different scenes. This is something that is really interesting. Okay. Any other questions, topics? That's a good stream. I like to get
yeah,
some guests over here, and not bad one, right? That's clear. For Volker, I couldn't say more. I mean, that's great what you are doing. So yeah, what else can I do or explain? Maybe there's some topics here. I will just continue on this.
artists really have to dig a little bit into your tool set because it's somehow a little bit overwhelming what all
Yeah,
the
I know.
maybe that's
I,
why it's called Monster.
yes, monster. It looks like, yeah, that's difficult to see the eyes and the arms. Where are all that stuff? That's about the shine, like the thing where you see what the, the movie is. It's probably this. I should choose this as an image, as a logo. The thing should rebrand it. Anyway, so I was also thinking about showcasing other stuff. This is something that I really like because that's not that much complex, but yeah, those kind of tools that I've made also as well on the MIFA tools. So that's over here. We have a bar with different commands. And so for instance, here we have some kind of a hierarchy with the different elements, and we have a locator that is completely off in space in a specific location and rotations. And I can create an array from the various positions. So from the local mode, or the world mode, or the parent. So if I do this on the local mode over here, I can radial array this around his own center. So we will do this onto the x-axis, and we can as well merge it if we are in polygon mode. So I will do this in item mode. And here we are with just 4 elements. And so we have a preset, and we have already the setup with the instance this way. That's really simple. And you keep the child with these options, and you can even do this with as a copy, instance, or replica. It's just something I really like to use as well when working. So for instance here, okay, I will do this over here. So we can now do the function with the parents. I will do this with the polygon mode. So we have the polygon mode selected, and we will do a radial, not radial sweep, radial array, but this time on the locator. So we have an offset axis. What was the axis? I have to check. Okay, so that's the x-axis again. Just to check this after I launch it. Okay, so from the parent on the x-axis, I can duplicate this 4 times, and so I have this. It's the same mesh. I mean, the mesh is still there and the center is still there, but the duplications and the array have been made relative to the parent locator. This is something I really like to use. That's not a new stuff, but it can be really easy to use this way. And so as well, this one should be probably created differently. What I will open another scene. So you have also the flip one that can be useful. So you can flip on one axis, so local on the X. No more changing the scale and the mode and scaling. Okay, I didn't have the negative, just those kind of things. Just with an easy command. I was lazy to do this time after time, so just flip on axis. And yeah, this way. Else there is the slice one, where I will open another one. So I'll keep the load spinning scenes over there, and then go to MIFA. Okay, so radial sweep. Okay, so the radial sweep also is interesting. So for instance, you have this tube that is completely off on the screen, I mean on the scene. I'll change this to automatic. Okay, so we have this, inside the locator. So the body tube is inside this one, and we have this piece that is here, so we can radial sweep this polygon over the local center. So to do this, I just use the radial sweep over here. I will click and to remove the selection of the polygon. So the radial sweep from iPolygon can remove the object if you are starting from an iPolygon model and doing the low poly. So here we have this. I can do the radial sweep, local mode, that's on the Y. We have probably 32 polygons, and so it creates the mesh like that. And we didn't have the polygon, it was removed. So really simple, but doing that kind of stuff can be easy this way. Doing the same thing over here. Okay, whoops, changed the locations. 5. Okay, so this one is here now. And here I can probably as well do a radial sweep. It works also as well on the edge mode. So if I select just those and do a radial sweep, I will do this on local Y6. Oh, something wrong here. That's the purpose of testing things. Okay, radial sweep Y6. Okay, it works. And so yeah, you can use this kind of tools to easily radial sweep or radial array things over with a reference from the parent to the locator to even the world space, if you will. So for instance, here I have the polygon selected. I will do the radial sweep, but this time on the world mode. So I will do this on the Y6, and so it creates a radial sweep from the location of the world. So same thing with the parent. And now it's from the parent, the locator that was there. That can be useful in many cases. I mean, for mechanical stuff like this, it can be useful. You can do this here, radial sweep from the parent. On the Z, we do this 6 times. Boom. Very simple. You can even define the preset of the radial sweep. So for instance, here I have a 360 preset, actually by default, of course, so 360 degrees. And you can even do 90 degrees on both sides. So for instance, I will do 45 degrees on both sides. So it will do this. Here, radial sweep, local mode on the Y, and 4 edges. So you have to check the flip, but now we have the 90 degrees over here, and it's extruding on both sides of this shape. So I can start doodling with this probably radial array. I will do this on the parent with the Y. Can do 12. Oh, not this one. Wait. I have to move the bolt into the body tube, for instance. Okay, now it will work. So polygons, radial array, relative to parent Y, and we will do this 12 times. And as we have this, we can start creating something like that. For instance, we have something linear, we should do this probably curve. And so yeah, we start making this kind of elements this way. I would remove some of the elements over there. And we have this piece that we can then duplicate with the radial array 12 times again. So parent y 12 times. So if I do this, there will not be connected. So again, selecting the polygons, I will do this into the polygon mode. So radial array 12 times, and so we have this. But now, as you can see, they are not connected, right? So in order to do this in just one row, I have to check radial array relative to parent, but I don't have the solution for the merge. Okay, I have to check this and add it. Anyway, selecting the boundary, selecting the vert, right click, merge, and boom. We have this kind of shape created just totally off of the center of the world, and it's working nicely. I have to probably to move this, I mean duplicate it. So I have the mirror as well. So the mirror also can be local, world, or relative to parent. So in this case, we will do this local and on the Y. And boom, you have this. Simple. It's not even a pipeline, right? Maybe an Art Deco pipeline. Okay, I will stop here with the stream. It was about 1 hour or so. I hope you enjoy. And
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And I look forward to doing something again soon.
Good. Come back.
Okay.
That's
Right,
that's nice. Have a good day. See you.
Okay.
See you, Arthur.
Okay. See you.
Okay. So see you then. What I can say. Of course, the Smonster is on GitHub. It's available on the Gumroad as well. You have everything on the YouTube page or even on my website. So what else? Nothing more. MODO kits and plugins, and here you have all the connections with the documentation and all that stuff. Hope you enjoy. See you next time. We will do another live stream probably on the next week. Probably on the same time. Should be okay. I will let you know. See you. Bye-bye.